because if you remember that day, what discussion I had. So if we are working on Linux, and if a non-root user, for example, student, so student can do anything under home and student. Okay, so in 99.99% case, a non-root user like student can only write data here in general. There is one more directory under slash, that is tmp, right? So for example, if I am a user, my name is Ashutosh and my username is this, let's say. So where I can write in Linux, under slash, I can go to home, under home, I can go to Ashu folder. So under this, I can write, right? I can delete, I can create, I can do whatever I want. But if I want to go to any other place apart from this home, Ashu, I won't be able to write. But there is one more place called TMP. That means a temporary directory, right? So a temporary directory means a place where anybody can write. So simply the question was, from a non-root user, is this going to happen or not? Okay, that means you always have to take ideal condition. So if I am a user, like my name is who am I, this is the one. And if you just try to switch with any other account like fire, so su command for switch user, and the name of user who am I, fire, and what is my default location, home fire. I can do whatever I want here, but let's say if apart from this directory, if I try to create something under opt, like opt, okay, or maybe slash root, fine, not possible, right? So you need to remember this discussion always in ideal condition. That means in general, whatever Linux flavor you are using, you're not allowed to write more than one or two places, not even graphically, not even by command line. फाइन, ये बात मैंने आपको उस दिन बताई थी कि एक यूज़र का घर उसका होम प्लेस ही होता है. सो मेक दैट इन प्रैक्टिस कि आप वीडियो देखें और कॉन्सेप्ट समझें. ऐसा नहीं सिर्फ कमांड चलाने से कुछ होगा, राइट? ओनली 6 करेक्ट आंसर, दैट मीन्स फ्रॉम अ नॉन रूट यूज़र. ठीक है, मतलब बात समझ में आ रही होगी. सो ऑल राइट. Wonderful, 28 correct answer. Elementary OS is, quite similar to Mac OS, right? So you can always use this. It's very similar to Mac, and it's having the very kind of similar kind of graphics and things, and it is a Debian based Linux. It's very similar to Mac, very similar, right? So you can use this if you want, and it's very awesome. I've used it, I don't remember that exactly time, but yes, for 2 or 3 months I've used that. So second last, nice. I mean, couple of people, reading that. Okay. So the final question, I believe. So the question is, ये कौन है यार, इसको ट्रैक करना है यार. So cal-j, then 2 and 2020. इस कमांड का पहला नंबर ऑफ द डे क्या होगा? $32. Wonderful. What is the meaning of this one? Let me just take you to this. So for example, if we are running cal command, right here, we are running cal command, and specifically I'm running cal command for January month, okay? And if I run cal command for Feb month, the first number, that is Saturday, is 1. But the question is, if you use -j. So what is -j is doing here? If I do -j, the first number is 32. Okay, and what is that? So there are two type of calendars available in this word. So when you talk about calendar, right, there are two type of calendars. The first one is Gregorian, right, Gregorian, and the second is Julian. Okay, in Gregorian calendar, every month start with the 1 and end with either 29 or 30 or 31st, whatever it is, right? But in Julian, every month start with 1, let's say end with 30. Then the next month will be start from 31st and accordingly. So every month, let's say if the January is starting from 1 to 31st, then the Feb will be 32nd. Okay, so if I use calendar of 2020 by normal and even by Julian calendar, it is almost same. See, first on Wednesday and Wednesday. But if I use the second month of a normal calendar, Gregorian, it is again starting from first. But if I use by Gregorian calendar, right, it is 32nd. Okay, so simply we are going to use that. So Kshitij, again, I will request you to put this question on the Discord somewhere. You might have some place in Discord to put your question. I'll be answering over there. post this session, right? So anyway, so simply what I'm saying is, I think you got the answer. The question was, write the first number of day. Number of day is 32. Okay, and 18 correct answer, by the way. Okay, fine. So let me answer your question here. Maybe I missed that. Generally, I'll answer all the question post 7 o'clock. Let me read it. Multiple path. C. Okay. So the question is, if the command is present on the multiple path, then it is going to search in an alphabetical order. That means in a, so for example, if your command is present on multiple path, so the preference is something that we are going to talk about today. Okay, so maybe your answer, yes, your question will be answered today itself in the session, by the way, Sutish, right? Don't worry about that. So okay guys, I'm going to just take this shell session again. So shell is something that we have seen. If you are having kernel and you are having user, so it's an interpreter between user and kernel that is going to check your existence of command in the path variable and then do the job. So for more information, you can just go and revise the last session that we had. Okay, so now we are going to talk more about shell. So out of bash or sh or csh and many more, which shell we are using, that is bash. So definitely there will be some reason or specific reasons will be there to use bash, and the first and very important is features. Okay, so there are a number of features that bash is having, but it is not have by any other shell like sh or something. So what are the features? So number one is history. So by the way, history is not a command. History is a feature of your bash shell, and other shells also having the same feature. So I'm not saying it's a uniquely designed for bash. So what is the meaning of history? If you do history command, it is going to show you whatever you have done from command line, like this, all the commands. Let's say if I'm going to run date, so here I'm going to just define this again. Okay, so I'm going to run date. I think I remove the command cal, or maybe ls, maybe who am I, any command. Once I do history, I'll be able to list all these commands. Okay, and what is this number, by the way? This number is a sequence. That means by root user, how many commands we have created, or we have, sorry, executed. So it's a 2000 number. Okay, 200 number. So that means till now 200 commands we have executed successfully. Okay, one more thing. Let's say if I'm going to use some more feature of history, so for example, if I use exclamation sign and I want to run this command, what I can do, I can use 188 number to run the command from history. So simply I can use a history to run a command by using exclamation sign and followed by that number. I'm hitting enter. Yes, you can see here the command is successfully running. There is one more feature of history is let's say I want to run command called date. So I can also use DA. So if I run command DA, it is going to search from the bottom to upper, and wherever it find DA matched, it will run date command. Okay, let's say talk about the cal command, or maybe cal. So if I use C, it is going to search from the bottom to top, and yes, enter. Right. So these two features are very good in history. Okay, but one very important fact about history is, and something, the fact is, what is the size? That means till how many numbers we can execute history. Date command is not present in my system. I mean, what is the size of history so we can store it? So by default, number of history we can store, that is 1000. Okay, so that means if you talk about how many history we can store in a particular user, so it's 1000 number. That may vary according to operating system. So how I can check the number? So there is a variable called hist size, right? And you can check. This is a predefined variable, not by me. It's a system variable, and it is having the value like this. Okay, if you want to increase the number, hist size, which is equals to 10,000, and you check it again. So now your limit of history got increased, right? So simply what I'm saying is this hist size is having variable. You're asking a question because date command is not present, guys. It's not there in my system. I deleted it for some reason. That's why even if you do DA, it is not going to run. So you're right, Anandita. The command is not available in the path. That's why it's not running. Okay. Coming back to this hist size again. So if you want to increase the limit of or the capacity of history variable, you can always use this. Okay, but what if, let's say what if you are going to store history 1000, for example, the limit is 1000. So once your history from 1 to 1000 commands will be stored, and what if you run a new command, so your number will be 1001, but the first command will be deleted. So from 2 to 1001, these recent 1000 command will be stored. So as soon as you keep increasing the number, I mean you keep running the command, so the number will be increasing like 1002, but it will be from 3 to this. Okay, so I hope you are understanding that strategy of removal. So the history will be automatically removed from the top right number once you increase the number limit. Okay, so this is one fact that you can always think about. Okay, so hopefully it will be very fine. The second fact is if you talk about history, it is not a common thing. So that means if you have 3 user, let's say user 1, user 2 and user root, so every user having their own history limits. So that means if you have 3 user, so you have a limit of overall 3000. That means 1000 for first user, 1000 for second user, and 1000 for third user. Okay, and as per the rules as well, user 1 cannot see or delete the history of user 2. So they can only modify, delete or maintain history of their own. They can't go to each other, right? So history And the second thing is path. So if you want, you can also set an individual path to individual user and individual history size to a separate user. That means the path and the history can have a different location and different capacity for each and every user. Okay, I'm repeating it again. History size and the location of path can be entirely different for each user. Okay, and it can be also entirely different for system. Okay, so what I'm saying is, let me just reconnect all the dots.